There's 26 qualities. Titikshila. Okay. So the devotee is titikshila. He develops tolerance because you get harassed out there. You get harassed by, first of all, threefold miseries, right? Anybody want to name those miseries? One or two or three of them? Some people?
Miseries caused by the mind.
By the mind, okay. Sanskrit for that? Let's see. Adhyatmika, adhibotika, adhyavika, right? So adhyatmika is miseries caused by your own self. Atma, yourself. Your own self causes misery to yourself. Not to speak of other living entities. Imagine all the miseries caused by your mind. Jayadvaita Swami expertly recalls all of the miseries of the teenage mind. He says, I never want to be a teenager again. He says, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, my nose is too big, my nose is too small, nobody likes me, nobody loves me, etc. You know, all of those things that your mind is tormenting you with as a teenager. I don't have enough friends, nobody wants to be my friend, whatever, you know. I don't fit in, I want to be cool, I want to be noticed. The torments of the mind of your own self. Another torment that we have to deal with to learn tolerance. Adhyatmika, no, adhibhotika, what does that mean?
From others?
Other living entities. Bhota. Other bhutas and bhotas. So we have to be tolerant because so many living entities and creatures are harassing us in this world. We find out in this purport that Krishna created the mosquitoes just to torment us. And now the question, the $1,000,000 question, why is that? Why did Krishna create mosquitoes to torment us? Why does God hate us so much that he wants to torment us?
Test our tolerance.
Test our tolerance. Test our tolerance. Any other ideas?
Well, since this is not the heavenly planets, we call happiness and pleasure.
In the heavenly planets there is only happiness, or mostly happiness, not a lot of misery. In the hellish planets there's mostly misery, not a lot of happiness. And here we have both. Happiness and distress, misery, suffering. What would happen if this place was without any suffering? If there was no misery in the material world, if there were no mosquitoes that bit us, what would happen? Would we get too comfortable?
We wouldn't stay.
We would stay here, right? You come to a nice hotel room and you don't have to pay anything, and it's great, life is great, everyone's serving you and there's nice food. Why leave? First of all, suffering is there because we have karma. We did something to some other living entity in a previous life. We probably tormented a mosquito, so now we're getting bit by that mosquito. The karma law is there. And Krishna created these living entities like mosquitoes to basically be the agents of our karma. We deserved it. At some point we did something to deserve it. That's the karmic explanation. And the other explanation which the devotees have given is that if this world was so nice, then we wouldn't think that there was something better. If it was so nice to live in illusion, away from Krishna, so-called away from Krishna, it's really our illusion that's causing that, our attachments. If it was so nice to live, separate from Krishna, then who would ever want to go back into a lifestyle where we're constantly thinking about serving Krishna and pleasing Him? Any other ideas why Krishna causes hellish conditions or mosquitoes in this world for our education? In one sense, it's also the question of why do, it's the karmic question, why do bad things happen to good people? Why is God evil? Answers on that level also. People ask that question all the time at Krishna.com where I work. We have a live help service where devotees from around the world, they're sitting on their computer at different times of the day and night, answering questions live from visitors. And this question comes up again and again and again. I'm suffering. I'm not doing well. I don't have enough money. Why is God mean to me? Why? If God was really benevolent, why isn't He giving me lots of money? Why isn't He alleviating my suffering? Why am I not happy? Why is my wife leaving me? Why is my boyfriend leaving me? Why are my parents on my case constantly? So people are really trying to grapple with this situation, this predicament that they're in. Why am I suffering? And Srila Prabhupada says many times that this is the beginning of spiritual life, is when we finally start to question, why am I suffering? And in this material world, it should be nice, I should be able to enjoy. Why am I suffering? Why are there mosquitoes at the campground? Why are other living entities saying mean things to me? Why am I being charged for the air that I breathe and for the water that I drink? Nowadays you can't even drink the water anymore, you have to buy it in bottles. And for that you have to undergo so much suffering because you have to go get a job and make money so you can survive, so you can drink and eat and sleep. In the heavenly planets, the demigods don't have to get jobs. Everything is provided. Nature is abundantly providing eatables and drinkables. They have subtle bodies, so they don't have the same kinds of needs that we have. They don't get cold like we do. They don't get sick. So why are we suffering? And then from that point, we can progress and we can say, okay, once we start to ask that question, then answers start to come. Tato Brahma Jigyasa. Why am I here? What is the purpose of life? If there's suffering here, let me find out if there's a place somewhere where there's no suffering. And religion starts there, and that's why you see so many religions focusing on heaven, because that's supposedly a place of no suffering. In one major world religion, there is a description painted of heaven that there are Vestal virgins just waiting to, make love to you. You can have, unlimited or 17 or whatever it is, number of virgins that, will be your wives in the heavenly planets. If you just do this and this and this and you follow strictly and, maybe kill a few people in suicide bombing. And everyone's focused on trying to make an end to suffering. That's, most religions in the world are trying to end suffering, even Buddhism. The whole purpose of Buddhism is, you're suffering, how not to suffer. There's not even mention of God or anything else. It's just, how not to suffer. Right? Realizing that it's all false, really. You just give it up and be detached. Happiness is false. Suffering is false. Just be detached. Give it all up. To bring it all back to the point of this purport, okay, so there's suffering in this world, and it's there to teach us how to be tolerant, compassionate, kind. Because we have inflicted suffering on others, so now we're suffering. And that's why we don't want to cause suffering to others, because it just continues the cycle. So just like if you have a dysfunctional family, so you've heard that term, dysfunctional family. And what is that? It's, for example, a mother who's abusing the child or father, I don't mean sexually, I mean, just verbally, mentally, emotionally. And parents are yelling at each other, whatever. You have a dysfunctional family cycle, and then the children become dysfunctional. Right? How do you stop that cycle? At some point, the people have to get help, they have to get counseling, and they have to become better people. The children, whatever, they say, enough of this, I don't want it. I don't want to do this to my children. So they get counseling, they get help, they say, let me learn how to be a good parent. So you end that cycle. So what we're reading about here in the hellish planets, this is the cycle that we're stuck in. This is the samsara cycle. We do good things, we do bad things, we get the reaction for both. You do good things, you go to heaven, you do bad things, you go to the hellish planets. And we're stuck in this cycle and we can't get out. And to break the cycle, we engage in, as the devotee in the back of the room mentioned earlier. There's an activity that's beyond karma. There's good karma, there's bad karma, and then there's karma, right? There's activities that are beyond karma, devotional service. By engaging in Krishna service, we actually transcend this whole cycle. We try to walk on the sidewalk instead of walking on the grass, but if we inadvertently kill other living entities by engaging in Krishna service, at least we're engaging in service, we're not thinking about causing suffering to others. We're thinking about how can we make everyone happy. And Srila Prabhupada once said that is actually the mission of the devotees. Time immemorial, the great sages had this mantra on their mind, how to make everyone happy. There's a Sanskrit mantra for that, Sarva Sukhina Bhavatu, something like that. How to make everyone happy. Now if you walk, you'll be the odd one out in this world right now in Kali Yuga, if that becomes your motto in life. How am I going to make everyone happy? In the devotee community and out there. Because in Kali Yuga it's very unusual to find people who think like that. But that's really what we're trying to do as devotees of Krishna. We're trying to make Krishna happy, and we're trying to make everyone else happy too. Any questions or comments? It's getting late.
You mentioned you mentioned the suicide bombers.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering, why do we get Krishna consciousness and they get suicide bombing and a trip to hell?
Well, they think they're going to heaven by suicide bomb. If Muhammad promises something, then Krishna might have to oblige, but I don't know where they're going to end up, depending on their mentality. Why do they get suicide bombing? And we get Krishna consciousness. First of all, how rare is it to get Krishna consciousness? Never mind suicide bombing. Why do most people in this world not get Krishna consciousness? How rare is it? Sometimes I meditate. How fortunate, how rare it is that some devotee happened to distribute a book that happened to land in my mother's hands. That I was able to come to Krishna consciousness. How rare. We hear in the scriptures in the Bhagavatam, I believe, that it says that anyone who has such great fortune must have performed all pious activities in previous lives, all kinds of austerities, right, to get the association of devotees. So we obviously ourselves, we say it's causeless mercy. Why is our great good fortune? We didn't deserve it. Somehow or other a devotee found us out there and gave us a book or whatever. Our parents got a book. But according to the scriptures, again, it's this law. Krishna is impartial. He sees if somebody works hard at something, he's going to reward them. If somebody does something bad, he's going to punish them as a parent. So, at one level, we can say we must have done something to deserve that. You must have done something in a previous life to come to the point where you got the mercy. Just like Narada Muni got the mercy. He ate the remnants of the prasadam of the devotees, he became Narada Muni.
Comment on the question? The comment is about why they get jihad and why we get yoga. But I talked to some Muslims, and actually the original meaning of jihad, it's actually very much like yoga. It's not supposed to be a holy war against Islamic nations, but it's more about a holy war on the misconceptions we have. Try to control the senses. The question is that there is hell as a lesson to be learned. So, but anyway, we forget our previous lives. So, how is that constructed?
If you could remember all of your previous lives and all the horrible things you did to people. Okay, let's not go there yet. If you could remember everything bad that you did to other people in this life, how would you feel? Imagine if you had some flash of realization and every bad thing that you ever said to somebody and everything that you ever did that was mean, you would find out about, and you would be perfectly aware of at this very moment. How would you feel? Terrible, right? You probably crawl into a hole and disappear and never come out again. Sometimes you can just, people get depressed and they say, I'm such a bad person. I have no hope. There's no hope for me. I'm just going to have to kill myself, right? People get so depressed just from small amounts of things that they did bad in this life. Imagine if we could remember everything that we ever did that was bad, that caused our misfortune. That's one thing. So you're getting some karma, and you're like, I don't know why I don't think I deserve this. This is really bad. But maybe I did something wrong. Imagine if you could see from Krishna's perspective all of the things over the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lifetimes that we did wrong. On the flip side, if you could remember all the things you did right, you'd probably think, I'm a good guy, Why am I getting punished? I'm a good guy. Anyway, that would be my way of answering that. If Krishna would let us know, if we were aware, like Krishna is, of everything we've ever done wrong to a person, or everything we've ever done good, in either case, we would either be extremely depressed and think there's no hope, or we would become extremely puffed up and egotistical. And that's not the point either. We're supposed to become humble.
And talking about tolerance and compassion and developing them, I've almost found from the perspective of a teacher, it's easy to have compassion, tolerance toward a young child, say when they don't know better, or a mosquito, because you know that they don't really know that they're harming you, so it's almost easy to develop a compassion for them. But when dealing with adults and other people that you feel are inflicting pain on you on purpose, I would just like to ask you, and maybe anyone who has any practical experience with this, and maybe some practical ways to develop tolerance. Because it's one thing to say, yes, we should be tolerant, but how do you become tolerant? How do you become compassionate? So if anybody has any
suggestions?
Suggestions.
How to become tolerant. Ramana Swami was asked this question about a year ago. Maybe he gets asked this often. Well, Radhanath Maharaj, you're so tolerant. How do you develop tolerance? Actually, it was in relation to humility also. Radhanath Swami's answer was through practice, lots and lots of practice. Because you will, now that you're thinking about it, start thinking about it more and be observant. Become the observer, which means, you have to become a little bit less passionate, a little bit more in the mode of goodness. To observe what's happening to you and to think about it before you act. Not just passionately react. Somebody punches you in the face, you punch them right back. That's our instinct. But we get punched in the face, or, in other words, we get insulted or hurt, or somebody says something or does something that aggravates us. Like we train little children. Stop, breathe, think about it, before you react. As devotees, we obviously are taught to just, like Jesus Christ says, if they slap you on the other cheek, you turn the other cheek. It's not very easy. It's a life lesson. It may take many lifetimes to come to that point of developing our character to such a degree that we are situated in the mode of goodness or beyond in pure goodness, and we don't react so quickly when something happens to us. We actually think about it. We use our intelligence. I probably deserve this. I probably did something to this person in a previous life that caused them to react like this. The slate is being washed clean right now. I have a chance, by not reacting, to wash that karma away and let it be. Now if I react, it starts all over again. I punch them back. It's definitely not easy. Any other ideas?
There's a saying that it's not what happens to you, how you react to it.
Mm.
So actually, you're saying the normal reaction is if someone punches you to punch them back. But actually, when you do punch them back, you don't feel good about it.
Mm.
But if you somehow tolerate it and don't do that, and maybe say something nice to them, then you actually feel, you can actually make advancement in that regard. So you're actually tolerating. And it's difficult to do, but you'll feel a lot better if you don't respond.
Have you ever heard the saying that violence can only be stopped by love? Love will conquer everything. It's that principle that's said, that a devotee is trying to develop love on a large scale, not just love of myself or love of my family or love of my immediate, siblings, but love for everyone, every living entity, and love for Krishna. And in developing that love, we break other people's dysfunctional cycles, and we break our own dysfunctional cycle of hatred and anger and everything else, whether it's even on the level of karma or whatever, even amongst devotees. How do you stop Vaishnava aparadha? You stop doing it, first of all. You say, from this day on, or today, you wake up in the morning and say, today I'm not going to say anything bad, or I'm not even going to try to think anything bad about another devotee. So you stop the cycle. And then if somebody offends you or whatever, you just tolerate, step back, think. Don't react right away. Don't. If somebody says something mean, don't say something mean back right away. Try to think. And like Gandhi says, be the change you want to see. So stop the cycle of abuse, stop the cycle of aparadha. Start with yourself. And through that, becoming more loving towards everyone and more compassionate and kind, we actually break other people's anger and dysfunctional cycles and whatever. That's the only chance. Or you walk away and run. Again, there are exceptions to this, but I don't really want to get into those. It'll be a whole other lecture. If somebody insults you, Guru Maharaj, or if somebody insults another devotee and you're witnessing it, do you just block your ears and run away? So there are intricacies. If somebody is offending or hurting another devotee, you should do something about it. Intervene. You might have to just grab the devotee who's punching the other devotee and just hold him and say, calm down, Prabhu, calm down. It's okay, Actually, at some point in my spiritual quest, I was pondering the question of sin. What does sin really mean? And there was some relationship with the word sin in causing pain to another living entity. And from Krishna's perspective, sin is when you cause harm to another living entity. So if you try to become truly ahimsa, truly non-violent on all levels, not just no eating or no killing animals, but become non-violent as a person, then actually you have a chance of not committing sin constantly as we walk throughout our day. Which really just means offending devotees, hurting other people, tormenting creatures, big and small. How do we develop our character to that point? When other religious traditions say sin, 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 that's the evil in it. The devil causes us to commit sins. What are those sins? It's really wrongdoings against other living entities. Or wrongdoings that we do to ourselves or to society that cause bad things in society. Alcoholism, illicit sex, etc. The four regulative principles. If we break those, then we're actually contributing to society becoming sinful. We may not be hurting another person, we'll be hurting ourselves. But even ourselves counts. Krishna doesn't want to see us suffer. Why hurt ourselves? We're also parts of Krishna. We're abusing Krishna's property. We're abusing ourselves. Any other questions?
Just a small comment to that also. Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the Krishna book that one's greatness has to be estimated by one's ability to tolerate provoking situations. And then you have all these nice examples from Shastra, Haridas Thakur being caned in 22 second marketplaces, Parikshit Maharaj being cursed 9-7 days.
not really taking any action, but just tolerating.
If you don't succeed right away, don't be disappointed. It's a long journey. It takes a long time. Daily you'll be tested. Most of the examples in scriptures, the main rule that they're trying to teach us is be tolerant, be humble, be gentle, be kind. That's just the moral instruction. And we say if we're just Krishna conscious, then everything else follows, but that's not so easy either. I won't worry about being humble, or I'll keep offending other devotees. I'll just try to be Krishna conscious. What does that mean? Krishna conscious means that you're conscious that Krishna is in the hearts of every living entity. That's just the Brahma, that's just the Paramatma realization, the second level. And if you're conscious of the second level of Paramatma realization, not even Krishna, you're just Paramatma conscious, then you already are stopping to be tormentful or hurtful to other living entities, because you see that Krishna is in the heart of every atom, first of all, so you don't even abuse the floor anymore. You don't kick things when you're angry or whatever, just take a cushion and just throw it on the, Krishna's in every atom. You start to think on that level, you start to realize, you may not mistreat Krishna's property, whether it's inert matter or whether it's living. So yeah, if we actually could become Krishna conscious, then all these problems would be solved. You have to start somewhere. In Denmark, we don't eat prasada. We just have Bhagavatam class. Time is ticking. Thank you so much for tolerating me. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to prepare for the class, but I tried. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Ah.